Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and I'm bringing you another video. So today, to fit in with the Indie August theme, I'm going to be doing the Indie Reader tag, or get to know the Indie Reader tag. It was created by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. I will link her original video down below. She created this, and I'm going to answer some questions for you guys. So the first question is, what made you get into reading indie fantasy? And for me, it was actually none other than Mr. Ryan Cahill and Mr. D.W. Ross. So this is probably one of the very first indie books I ever read. Around the same time, I read Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill, Shadowless by Randall McNally, and Paladin Unbound by Jeff Spate, and I just kind of fell in love with these indie books. I'm also very lucky. I had a few authors, including Mr. D.W. Ross, reach out to me and ask if I want to review their books, so I was obviously getting more indie books. They were the ones that I was getting requests to read. I have only actually recently been getting arcs that I have requested from traditionally published publishers and authors. So the first actual sent to me book mail was predominantly indie, which is very, very cool. So that is probably what got me into reading indie fantasy. I'm very lucky in the fact that people sent me their books, but also I discovered some very fantastic books. Ryan Cahill being one of the first ones, and I think he was one of the first ones I actually ever bought myself, and I just fell in love, really. Indie books are no different to me than traditionally published books. You still find ones that you love, you still find ones that don't particularly work for you but still have potential. So yeah, that's basically the long and short of that question. The next question, I do have them all on my phone if that's why you're wondering why I'm looking down. What is your favourite thing about indie fantasy? And I think one of my favourite things about indie fantasy is definitely the fact that the authors create such amazing worlds. Indie books are no longer what they used to be. Indie books used to have this stigma attached to them that they weren't as good as traditionally published books. Now people are realising that, and me included, that this is not the case. It's just people that don't necessarily want to go down the traditional route or can't go down the traditional route for whatever reason. So it's amazing that you can find amazing worlds written by people who aren't part of the big publishing houses and they're doing it all themselves, and I love supporting that, because obviously everyone deserves promotion in my eyes, be it traditionally published or indie published. So that's one of my favourite things, I think. What is your favourite indie fantasy book series? So I'm going to say something other than Ryan Cahill, because I know he's very big for a lot of people. So completed series would definitely be Cold from the North by D.W. Ross. I bang on about it constantly. It's the Onyxborn Chronicles. I love this series because for me, you watch the author progress throughout all three books. I say this every time. His first ever book is Cold from the North. By the time we get to the third one, the writing has... I loved the first book, do not get me wrong, the first book got 4 stars, but the writing has progressed, the storyline has progressed, we're getting more character arcs and more focused storylines, which are fantastic, so I think that's why that's one of my favourite series. And then an ongoing series that I'm loving is definitely the Paladin Unbound series by Jeff Spate. This is very much D&D inspired. Our main character is half orc. He has got this secret that he's been keeping in for years, and it's a very, very good story. I am loving it. I need to finish the second book, and I believe Jeff is currently writing the third book at the minute as well, so that's pretty cool. Question number 4 is, what is one high priority indie fantasy on your TBR? My goodness, there are so many, but as of this moment, I'm gonna have to say The Seventh Cadence by Jim Wilborn. I am intrigued. It's Chunky Boy. I was very kindly sent this by Jeff and his team. I'm very excited. I don't know a lot about this, obviously I haven't read this, but it sounds pretty cool. It's a sweeping high fantasy epic of war, found family, and reckoning with fate. And I don't see anyone talking about Jim, so I want to be the person to talk about Jim. in a nice way, because I'm reading the novella at the minute, which apparently is the wrong way around. But yeah, nothing is new there. So yeah, this is high priority on my list. Maybe I'll have already spoken about it by the time this video goes live. I'm not sure, but there you go. Where do you find out about indie books? I find out about indie books from Twitter at the minute, which is apparently dying a death. I'm not too sure, but I find a lot of stuff from Twitter. And YouTube. I follow a lot of YouTubers that recommend a lot of other indie books. Covers with Cassidy, who does a lot. Lisa also, who I co-founded, It's All About Fantasy, our read along buddy read that is always going, which is linked down below if you want to join us for anything. I also look into a lot of indie authors myself. I'd like to say that I try to bring indie authors to the forefront of my reading to promote them to you guys. So there's a few people. I know there's loads of other people as well who read indie, but I also know a lot of other people who read like indie romance, which is not necessarily my genre pick. So I just keep an eye out, really, and just keep an eye out. Question number 6: an indie fantasy you'd recommend to someone just starting to read indie? A lot. Really, I would say Shadowless. Shadowless is great by Randall McNally. Have I got my copy to hand somewhere so I can show you this cover? So this is Shadowless by Randall McNally. I would recommend this to someone who is starting out on their indie journey because it's a standalone. It's one book. It's not particularly big. And I think the way it is written is very different to how anything else that I have actually read ever is written. So for this, we have got very short chapters, and pretty much every chapter up until like the final 100 pages is told from a different perspective, and then in the final 100 or so pages all of these stories come together, and I thought it was really well done. It is amazing. To begin with, I was like, what the heck is happening? Why are we changing perspective so much? But by the time you get to the end, I think it really adds to it, and it's fantastic. I really actually should do a reread of this at some point because it's just, I loved this. I thought what Randall did was phenomenal, and I was also very kindly sent this as well, so that is also great. But I would recommend this because, like I said, standalone, not too chunky, but is really well written, so it kind of ticks a lot of boxes, and it means you're not tied into big series. Like, I know a lot of people, and I myself love like Ryan Carhill and all these other people, but some series are just massive or still ongoing, so at least then you'd read it and you'd be done, and you would experience, hopefully, a great reading experience for indie books. Question 7 is your favourite indie fantasy cover. I don't have one. I don't have one. So I'm going to show you a few. First one is this one, Godfrey's Crusade. I mean, I'm not really a big fan personally of like people on covers, as in like faces, you know, but I have a couple where they have a bit of everything. But I love this like silhouette idea in front of a castle. Like, it kind of gives you that Arthurian vibe, which I haven't read this yet, which I'm sure is where the story is going because it's set in like that time period, so you get like a really good idea of where this story is going. Another fantastic cover, Ascendant. I mean, we've got the boy and his dragon, and that is literally the story. The story is about this boy and this said dragon, so again, short, snappy, gives you an idea. Also, I just really like it. And then I've got more. I've always got more. I'm going to show you 2 more. So this is another one, The Fury of Fate. I mean, just look at these colours. I also was very lucky. I was sent all of the variations for this cover by D.W. Ross, and I think the orange is just stunning. And then finally is one that I've actually received recently, which I won. And it is this one, just Chasing Graves. Like, look at that. It's a grimdark book. Does this not give you, like, grimdark vibes? And it's the same underneath as well. Like, does that not just make you go, I want to read that book. So yeah, I can't choose one. So there's a few. I love many things. I'm just, yeah, indecisive sometimes. Question 8. Do you approach indie reading reviewing differently? No, not really. I don't think so. I try to read them and then I get distracted the same as I do with every book. Because I'm chaotic and I struggle with life at times. But no, I wouldn't say I approach it any differently. I'm probably more likely to give it more airtime, I guess, depending on how long I'm reading it for. I do Indie August. I'm doing Vida 2, which is something that I do. I don't really think anyone else does this at this time. I know Vida is a big thing in April, but in August it's just a better time for me personally. Work is not as busy, but I would say that the difference would be on my indie videos. I make obviously more content and I recommend them more, and the only time I will speak about traditionally published books multiple times is if they've managed to get on multiple lists, or if I've read them in a vlog and they're in a wrap up and then they're in like the best books and all this stuff. So maybe I give them more airtime, but otherwise no, I don't think I do. An upcoming anticipated indie release, so we've got The Ice by Ryan Cahill, definitely. The sequel to The Fangs of War, which name is, I think it's The Blood. Is this whole thing called The Blood Saga? Possibly. Yeah, The Blood and Steel Saga. So The Blood and Steel Saga Book 2, I'm anticipating. This month I'm also doing a hosted readathon for these books with the author. I am hosting it. So we're reading this book this month and then we will be going on to Book 2 as well. I've got the graphic, so I'll add the graphic here for you so you can see it. Because all of the dates have poofed out of my brain. It's been a long day at work. But yeah, there are some, and Book 2 is already out. Book 3 is coming out. So that would be my anticipated release. That makes sense, yeah. Anyways, Book 10. What indie author would you choose to write your story as the protagonist? Oh. I would say D.W. Ross, because I feel like he would make me extra smart. If you haven't read Cold from the North, his main character in that series is Olgolf, and he is like this fantastic strategist, and although he is like, he has got flaws, which is great because we're like seeing real people, yeah, he's just a fantastic strategist and he's like a really good fighter and stuff, so I feel like I would love D.W. Ross to write me in that way, like I'm great with a sword and I could take down anyone and fight and stuff. So yeah, maybe that would be good. And then final question is an indie fantasy more people need to read. Cold from the North. Any other ones that I've mentioned? Shadowless by Randall McNally, you know. I haven't heard anything about this one really. Paladin Unbound, which is here. More people need to read this book. It's great. Read it. And there's probably more. And if you're currently like looking for something to do, join me on the Fangs of War readathon thing, because yeah, more people need to read this with me. And I will be doing an interview at some point. I'm not sure if that's already happened or not, but yeah. So woo. And then the final thing is to tag some people. So if you've watched this and you want to do it, brilliant. I don't really tag people as per se, but I'll probably send this to some people and be like, hey, do you want to do this? But if you're watching this now and you want to take part, go and do it. I'd love to learn more about you as an indie reader. That would be fantastic. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. It really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below of an indie book you have loved. And if you just want to leave me an emoji, leave any battle emoji, so swords, shields, that sort of thing. Leave them down below. If you want to follow me, keep up to date with my content, please consider subscribing down below and ringing that notification bell to get notified every single time I upload new videos. I'm currently uploading every single day in the month of August, so be sure to stick around for more bookish content coming every day. But otherwise, that is everything for today's video. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Bye.